Seeing children with prejudice, attitudes hurts. When they start off so young, to break down the bizarre reality of the youth who haven't really had a chance to explore the world, build life experience, accumulates these ideas in their households around racial identity, the socially constructed principle of social engineering in our world today, and how younger and younger you're starting to see people, children, treat other racial groups very, very harsh. Sometimes you're seeing them at 6, 7, 8, 9, in that range, under 10, between like 7 and 10. Children with these really discriminatory and prejudiced views, which are still budding because they're still young, but you can tell children emulate their environments. And I had to check myself with my kids because I had a lot of just feelings of just revenge in my spirit towards certain groups. And when I had my girls, when you're a father who's been experiencing like just a lot of different discriminatory racist sort of experiences, and then you have kids, it really kind of puts you in a, a uncomfortable position, especially being black. um and the reason why I say this, because there's not really a whole lot of us, and it really challenges you on what to teach your children, what not to teach your children, especially your daughters. And one thing I didn't do was bash white people, to my children, because I do have white people in my reality who are really solid people. So I had enough sense to not slander, white people, Mexican people, despite my experiences that I had personally with some of the little identity extremists in their groups. I wasn't going to kind of put that into my children. And when I had my first daughter, I was just thinking, damn, how would I feel if my daughter brought a white guy into the house? And maybe you're a parent who has racial trauma. How do you reconcile that? It's hard to fake support and happiness when you're just not really feeling it. But you love your kids, you love your daughter, you want your daughter to be happy, but maybe you're a father or a mother who experienced racial trauma, and you don't want to teach your children to hate white people, to hate Mexican people, hate Asian people, so on and so forth. But you still have this trauma you're holding, and you have a daughter, right? And you just think like, man, am I going to be truly happy for her? Am I going to be truly supportive? I've always educated my kids on just these realities. Like, listen, because my daughter, my oldest, grew up in the Elsa era, right? Where if you wasn't white and you wasn't blonde, you were gonna feel a certain type of way because Elsa was every damn where. It was like she was like the king, reigning supreme in the child psychology. My daughter, she was so insecure about her hair texture during that time, but she was really young. She was like 5 or 6, and I used to feel so bad. She used to hate her hair. She used to go buy the little Elsa wigs and put the little Elsa wigs on, and it used to hurt. A part of me is used to crush my spirit. I'm just like, damn, but I can't be mad at all white folks. That's just what kids do. It's natural to compare yourself, but you still just feel so disappointed. Like, man, we don't have enough black sort of influences to make the children love themselves. She used to hate her hair. I'm like, your hair is so beautiful. Now she loves her hair. She loves her hair now that she's a little bit older. But I can remember that. I'm just like, dang, man. how do I reconcile this? And thank God as she got older, she grew out of that. But I never like primed her to like, oh, you got to watch out for these white people. I don't think we start having these conversations till to like her close to her preteens, just to kind of explain to her that when sometimes people mistreat you and you're doing the right thing, it's not always because of you. Sometimes people carry just really hurtful, unhealthy beliefs, and they can be younger people. Because a lot of times it starts with the younger people. When I used to do counseling in high schools in San Diego, I can't tell you how many race based conflicts were going on. I couldn't even count. It was so many. It was so many. A lot of the parents, we know how to fake it, right? We may not like it. California is really good at being fake. Let's just keep it real with this racism thing. They're so good at that shit where, you know, they just know how to really just act like they know how to go along to get along, even though they can hold these really extreme racist ideologies. California is no different than the South. They just know how to, they're like professional, professional racists, essentially. But these children on the West Coast, shit, they don't give a damn. And they go at it, in these high schools, they go at it. And people who from California, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. They almost need to make a movie about you niggas, how just deep this shit goes in these high schools with this racism. It's crazy. And I didn't experience that. Thank God. Even though Detroit, people can say whatever they want to about Detroit, but I'm so thankful I grew up in the high school. And it wasn't perfect, but having black people who at least we understood that we were black. It wasn't a whole lot of bullying going on. But when you're bringing in different cultures and different belief systems, and the parents are already divided, that's just an accident waiting to happen. So sometimes I can't relate too much to a lot of the people who went to high school out here, but counseling in some of these schools, I'm just like, damn, makes sense why when you guys get older, you don't want to be bothered with each other because you don't went through the damn racism pipeline in middle school and high school. By the time you get to your 30s and 40s, you're done. Right? You just become like these extremists because a lot of it starts when you were younger. I remember I was doing counseling with this. We used to do like outreach to like underserved communities. And I remember I had this little black boy with me, and we would go do like fundraisers and different things like that for different communities. And we were doing a fundraiser at Denny's. This was in San Diego. Denny's full of white folks, right? That little black boy was so scared to walk in that Denny's. He was like, man, I don't, he was so intimidated. Little young boy. He was like probably all of like 10 or 11. He's like, I don't want to go in there. There's so many white people. Hurt my heart. I was like, man, don't worry about that, man. Come, we were doing like a little pancake drive or something like that. I'm like, man, don't worry about that, man. Come on in here and eat and hang out. People don't realize how, even though you may not be explicitly as a human being attacking someone over their race, the energy is still around you through your body language. Some of you guys don't have a lot of insight and self-awareness. Sometimes I gotta talk to my wife about that and some of the things she says, because sometimes she'll say things for them like, you can't say stuff like that in public. Some of these foreigners and immigrants, you guys don't know how to read the fucking room sometimes. I noticed that. It's not all of you guys, but you guys know who the fuck I'm talking to. You don't know how to read the room. And it's like, I don't know. It's just so interesting how each of you guys it's just really interesting how the human psychology, how it works. It's very complicated. But these children, these younger people, it's really weird. Where like back in the day, I'll be 40. I know I look good. Back in the day, the late 90s, I don't recall feeling so uncomfortable. Well, I was young, but I just don't recall any discomfort being around younger people growing up. It wasn't even like a concept. You just go out and live your fucking life. You be around each other. You don't think about it. Now it just feels so different. Like a lot of these younger kids, these younger people, they're so like, I don't know, like a lot of them just have like really bad energy, really bad energy. these younger people don't know how to respect boundaries. Your parents are not doing a good job teaching your children how to respect adults out here on the West Coast. East Coast and the South, it's a little bit different, but you still see some of that depending on where you're at. Absolutely. But I'm out here, so all I can do is speak for out here in Orange County. You guys are doing a terrible job teaching your children culture. You guys are not raising a diverse, competent household. You're not going to grow up. These kids are not going to grow up in a reality where everything is all white, all Mexican, all Asian, even all black anymore. These younger people, even though you have some extremes, they're becoming a little bit more inclusive than maybe our generations were. So you can't, it's unrealistic to think your children are going to inherit the same future and lifestyle you had as a parent. But you start to see these attitudes and these ideologies and these extremist sort of attitudes in these children the younger they are. You see it. And it hurts, because you're like, damn, you're so young and, you know, you're so ignorant. You don't really know what you don't know. And it's really your parents are to blame. But you're at that age. 7 to 10 is a really weird sort of range where it's like you're old enough to know better, but you're kind of too young to really know better fully through life experience. Really weird dealing with kids. That's why you don't have a lot of children psychologists. They just don't want to deal with the shit. I was getting all the kids when I was at Kaiser, all of the kids, because I get it. Like I understand, even though I don't share a lot of their experiences, I understand human nature. So I'm just like, all right, this if it's a learned behavior, you just got to be patient with them. But man, these younger people. So it says children are not born with racial hatred. They are taught how to interpret difference through the environments they grow up in. Research on racial ethnic socialization shows that children learn beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors about race directly from parents, conversations, and model behavior at home. Studies examining parents Our studies examining family discussions of race highlight that what parents say or avoid saying can reinforce bias or challenge it, shaping whether children develop empathy or prejudice. When parents hold identity extremist views, those beliefs are often transmitted implicitly, becoming part of a child's worldview long before they have the cognitive ability to critically evaluate them. This is why you can see very young children expressing exclusionary or racist ideas. They are often mirroring what they've absorbed, not independently formed beliefs. The consequences of this transmission shows up clearly in schools. National data indicates that 31.5% of high school students report experiencing racism in school, with significantly higher rates among minority students. I believe this. A lot of the beef that adults hold with each other present day are really just historical experiences and memories that they haven't fully resolved or processed. So when you even see different cultures today in your present day as an adult, you're rarely interacting with the adults in that moment. You're interacting with past beliefs, past memories, past experiences of what these present day realities represent. You rarely are coming in contact fully with the present moment, especially if it's like unresolved trauma or hurt. You're still coming in contact with that stuff. 31.5% of high school students report experiencing racism in school, with significantly higher rates among minority students. And these experiences are strongly linked to poor mental health, substance use, and increased suicide risk. Research also shows a connection between racial discrimination and bullying behavior, meaning that environments where racism is normalized can increase both victimization and aggression among youth. Schools become the stage where inherited ideologies are acted out through slurs, exclusion, intimidation, and sometimes violence. This creates not just emotional harm, but real safety concerns, as racial hostility can escalate into physical altercations. And one thing about racism in high school and middle school, these young people don't give a damn. That's why you see a lot of these school shooters. That's why you see a lot of them going to these really extreme sort of consequences. Adults where they might think twice. Children, younger people, they don't have a lot of those filters, so they're going to go all in a lot of these high schools when they feel like they're being bullied because of their race. That's why you see a lot of these violent activities. So the school becomes the stage where a lot of these inherited prejudice beliefs are acted out through slurs, exclusion, intimidation, and sometimes violence. This creates not just emotional harm, but real safety concerns, as racial hostility can escalate into physical altercation or hate based incidents, especially in middle school and high school, where identity formation intensifies. What makes this especially painful is the innocence lost on both sides. Children targeted by racism experience fear, isolation, and long term psychological harm, while children who adopt racist beliefs are being shaped into patterns that damage their relationships, empathy, and moral development. Research shows that racism based bullying can rise in response to broader social and political climates, meaning this is not just a family issue, but a societal one. When identity extremism is passed down unchecked, it doesn't stay contained within the home. It enters the classrooms, friendships, and communities, putting children at risk of both harming others and becoming trapped in cycles of division that follow them into adulthood. 7 ways parents unintentionally pass down racist ideology. One, silence about race, colorblindedness. When parents avoid discussing race, children still notice differences, but fill in the gaps with stereotypes from peers or media. Children may develop unconscious bias and act awkward, avoidant, or exclusionary toward those who look different. I see this a lot as a Black person in Orange County because there's not a lot of us when I'm around. I hate to even leave my house because I just get so tired of being uncomfortable. I just got so used to it, but we're going to be moving. And of course, my wife is Chinese. They got Chinese Asian privilege, right? I learned that from actually some other Asians. So they're just going to throw themselves out there, right? And sometimes I'll get around some of her friends and their kids, and maybe our daughters are going to a party or something like that, and you should see just how awkward a lot of these different racial groups, their children are around just Black men. Little do they know I'm a marriage and family therapist that work with children every week, but these kids, they all they see is a Black man, and they don't have exposure to Black men. Maybe they don't see a lot of Black men, and I feel bad. I'm like, well, damn, do I be around them? Do I remove myself? 'Cause I don't want them to feel awkward. It's just you just get tired of that shit. You just get tired of that shit because it's like, damn, you feel bad for the children because you can't blame them, but then you don't know as a Black man, should I stay in the environment? Should I remove myself? And then how do I even communicate this shit when you're dealing with children? Racism in children, and it's not racism because they're not in the system quite yet, but the prejudice and discrimination in these children is so fucking complicated. You parents got to do better. You guys are so fucked up. You got to do better, man. It's like, and I respect Black people because you don't see a lot of this with their children. Black people, by nature of being minority, you gotta adjust to environments where they might be all Mexicans or all Asians or all white. So I just feel like Black children tend to inherit more cultural competency. You might have some who grew in dominantly Black environments where that's all getting gentrified, right? But I just feel like they're more cultured. A lot of these Hispanic children, these white children, Asian children, you guys are just it's just the parents. You guys are not raising these kids to be culturally competent. And that's one thing that'll make adults avoid communities and avoid environments when they're not only dealing with racist adults, but racist children too. they'll keep their kids out of that environment. This shit matters. I know you guys don't like talking about it, and everything is go along, get along. Hey man, just do a rap song. This shit is important. Two, modeling subtle bias, micro behaviors, crossing the street, clutching your belongings, showing discomfort around certain groups teaches fear without words. Children imitate these reactions and may label others as dangerous or less safe. Stereotypical language or jokes at home, even casual comments normalize dehumanization. Children repeat these ideas at school, often escalating into bullying or social exclusion. Us versus them narratives, framing other racial or cultural groups as threats, competitors, or morally inferior. Children form rigid group identities and may target peers who don't belong to their in group. This is where you get a lot of the clicking and shit, which we naturally do that as human beings. We tend to gravitate towards but those cliques that are really connected based off of just discrimination and prejudice from the ones that are just connected. We're not fucking stupid. It's 2026. You know the difference in the cliques at school as a younger person. And selective exposure to diversity, limiting children's interactions, media, or friendships to only similar groups. Children lack empathy building experiences and may fear or reject unfamiliar peers, and rewarding in group loyalty over empathy. Praising children for sticking with their own, quote unquote, rather than valuing inclusion. Children prioritize group identity over kindness, increasing the likelihood of exclusion or aggression, minimizing or denying racism, teaching children that racism doesn't exist anymore or that victims are just overreacting. Children dismiss the experience of others and may justify harmful behaviors towards their fears. At the core of this issue is a powerful truth. Children don't just inherit beliefs, they embody them. What they see modeled becomes how they treat others. And when that modeling is rooted in fear, superiority, or division, it doesn't stay theoretical. It becomes lived behavior in the classrooms. Parents got to think about that. We got to do a better job at modeling and educating our children cultural competence.